Everyone, it's Mike the Star Turtle, and with the premiere of Season 5 of Game of Thrones literally just a few hours away, I thought I'd just do my review of Walking Dead Season 5, before Game of Thrones becomes all everyone cares about for the next several months. So I want to get that out of the way. It probably is too late, but I figured, better late than never, if I get it done before Game of Thrones starts. So anyway, as you all know, I put my review of the first episode premiere back in was it like November? A while ago now. Damn. But yeah, that was a really good, definitely one of probably the single best season premiere of the entire show. I'd say probably as far as season premieres go. Still not quite as awesome as say Clear or Too Far Gone, but definitely one of the best episodes of Game of Thrones. And definitely the best season premiere. I have to say, the pacing of this this season, it certainly wasn't like season 2 level, but I did think the pacing of this season was compared to the last two seasons, especially season 3, which despite my problems with that season, definitely the best paced out of all the seasons. This season definitely had a little bit of a lull in that regard, but still a very good season. Here's my biggest complaint: they never quite topped that first episode. There were some really good episodes, but never quite as awesome as that first episode. Let me just go through right down all the major events. Of course, I won't go too far into the first episode to the premiere, because I already went pretty in depth about that. You can go, if you haven't seen it by any chance, go ahead and check it out. It's on my channel. All right. One thing I want to say right off the bat is that whole thing with Eugene and his whole thing with this idea to cure the whole play. I don't get why I'm the only I knew it was probably bullshit the whole time. I honestly don't get why anyone else did. It's hinted that Abraham knew, at least possibly thought deep down might have known that it was bullshit, but he kind of like to pretend that wasn't the case, to force himself to believe that it wasn't the case because he had nothing else to live for. But I honestly don't believe how no one, not Rick or anybody else, asks the question. You can't ask Eugene, you can't be the only freaking scientist. There's got to be other scientists as good as you in DC, and yet they couldn't cure it. What exactly do you know? Yeah, he has all the bullshit story about the Human Genome Project. Spoilers. Sorry, I forgot to warn about spoilers. I'll make sure I put it on the title, but I'll just point on spoilers. But yeah, no one asks, why is it that you have that nobody else does? I understand he could come up with some bullshit classified excuse for that too, but nobody even asks that, which kind of pissed me, or irked me. There was, I don't know. Is the fact that people should have been more skeptical about why the hell no one else in DC knew what he knew and was able to cure it by now. And also, yeah, DC stuff. They might have stuff from DC that could survive a disaster, but wouldn't we have probably heard more from DC by now if that was the case too? But because the president or the government would be scared and they'd try to make contact afterwards, you think? But I don't know. Anyway, that's just a nitpick. It was nice finally seeing the group mostly reunited after that first episode, or in the first couple episodes, and meeting that shady Reverend, who I knew was trouble the second he got involved with them. I don't even remember his name. Hold on. Seth Gilliam. Alice from The Wire, in other words. But yeah, I knew he was trouble the second he showed up. It was cool seeing a little bit of conflict between Abraham and Rick. It made sense. They're both essentially leaders, and them not entirely not really being hostile towards each other, but that scene when Abraham tried to take Eugene and leave with the RV and the bus, whatever it was, and Rick pretty much about to use force to stop him because they wanted the RV. That was a brief but pretty cool scene. And also I of all the new characters, okay, Eugene. I admit I like Eugene, But Abraham is still probably the most awesome. Like just that whole episode about his backstory too was pretty well done. And the way he at the end of the season, the way he kind of step two with Alexandria was pretty cool too. And then even defended Rick, which I'll get into more later. I don't like the idea of Rosita and him. Like, I don't know, just but pretty much Rosita. The only cool thing about Rosita is she's hot and she can fire a gun. I mean, who knows? Hopefully they'll do some good stuff with her later. We'll see what happens, but. It's nice to see Tara do some actually talk to Rick and get his blessing to join the group like pretty much early on. Though she didn't do much afterwards, unfortunately, it was too bad. A couple episodes focusing on Carol too, which are really awesome. Like Carol is probably the most. It's arguable whether her or Michonne are the two best female characters in the show, but for this season at least, she got some cool stuff to do, and that's that whole thing with her and Daryl in the city, and I know it wasn't entirely realistic that whole van scene, but it's worked for the show. It was I thought it was a pretty cool scene, and the cinematography for that while they were on the bridge before that was really well done. Like we haven't really seen wide shots that epic since pretty much the first season when they were still in the city. Then there was that whole thing with Beth. And I honestly don't understand entirely what the point of it was. Like, they should have spread those scenes throughout the episodes rather than just have 2 full episodes focusing on it, in my opinion. Because then when she died, I admit, it was a pretty powerful scene that I did not see coming. When she actually did die. But the whole season with her in the hospital... They should have spaced that out more towards the first season instead of made it more ambiguous what happened to her until like the last couple before they scored the mid-season finale. That was a mistake in my opinion. Bob Stuckey. I like what they did with him. Like his death, the way everything with his death. First of all, him and the termites or the hunters, whatever the hell you want to call them. I was going to call them the termites from Terminus. That was a pretty ominous scene when they tell him he tastes pretty good before the episode cuts, which I was trying to rip from the comic books. Then later, at the beginning of the first episode, when he's distraught, then all of a sudden he starts laughing because he tells him he's been bitten, which I kind of already knew at that point, but it was still a nice little scene. He just starts laughing. You're all intended meat, you stupid pricks. That was an awesome scene. And then the whole thing with the termites was wrapped up way more quickly than it. I don't know if it should have been, but like I feel like they could have done more with it. And I was pissed at the fact that like Garrett was like he tried to plead with Rick for a bit. Like I said, like it would have been cooler if he just said, "Yeah, I'm fucked. Might as well just face death like a man," before they tore him apart. And I'm sorry, the hunters were not good people, or the termites were not good people, but there are worse people out there as we come to realize. And I still kind of felt sorry for them with everything what happened to them at the hands of those horrible, even way worse people who held them captive for that time, which I'm pretty sure the other people we're going to be encountering next season. Tyrese's death was unexpected, and I think I think they should have saved that. I guess they couldn't have fit it in the season finale, but I kind of think they should have waited till next season to do that. I feel like it was too soon after Bob and Beth's death to kill him off. That was a pretty powerful episode, though. It wasn't my favorite. I still hate the fact that Walker has always seemed to be able to creep up on people for plot convenience moments. I know he was distraught and was distracted, but and when he had to let the Walker bite his other arm to fight him off, that was a pretty intense moment. And the scene with him hallucinating or actually seeing Beth and Bob's ghost was a pretty emotional moment. And just like Rick just desperately trying to, and the rest of the group desperately trying to save him. But yeah. And then we get to Alexandria, which was interesting. Like, I kind of was a little skeptical of the fact that they introduced this whole plot line so late in the season. But for what it was, it worked. It worked a lot better than I thought it would. I thought for sure that this time it was actually going to be it was Rick's group that kind of makes it not work. But the fact that it actually did kind of work in the end, at least for now, was a nice surprise. Like I really thought there's going to be an end in bloodshed, and it was kind of nice the fact that we didn't. It was also nice the fact we finally got after they got to Alexandria, we finally saw Michonne do some cool things. Because up to that point, she had barely anything to do. I was kind of pissed about that. Like she had nothing, almost nothing to do. And it was good to finally have her feel a bit more prompt. Even though there was hold on, sorry about that. But yeah, I like where they went with her in the last few episodes, and I liked how she actually really wanted to try and make Alexandria work. But at the same time, when a step came to it, even though it looked like she might turn against Rick, she ended up sticking by him. And that scene with Carol and that little boy, we all know that scene. That was a pretty intense, well-written scene. That actually made sense, if you think about it, but it was still pretty cruel. Yeah, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm sorry about this. Now let's talk about Noah. That was... Why the fuck did they even bother introducing him? I honestly don't get, like, this whole... Let's start out to be a character in his own after he interacted with Beth for a while in those 2 episodes at the hospital, but then... I mean, he had probably one of the worst deaths ever, and that's saying a lot for this show. But like, and I loved Glenn's reaction. He was just total. Even though he didn't know him that long, he still was like pretty like, which is how any of us would be if we had seen him. Just like that was the whole scene was pretty awesome. But I have to say, like, I don't know. I know this show's probably not doing it intentionally, but I've learned not to get attached to a single black male character. I'm pretty sure Father Gabriel's not going to last much longer after, once we get to the new season. So all I know is Morgan better last a while. Speaking of which, it was finally after that bonus scene at the end of the premiere. I think there was one other bonus scene at the end of another episode that I actually did not see. But finally seeing him in the season finale was pretty awesome. I wish they could have introduced him sooner. It's been way too long. He really he better not die the next season. He better last at least a few seasons if they do kill him off. That's all I have to say. I'm sick because like this series really. I don't know what. I mean, black women I guess they're okay, but black men just. God, I don't know. I really hope they're. I'm pretty sure they're not doing it intentionally, but they really. I think they should have waited a bit before they did what they did with Noah, or at least they should have waited with Tyrese. That's all I have to say. It was too all in one season. That was a little too much in my opinion. So yeah, all the stuff in Alexandria was not as good as it could have been, but still decent. I mean, I didn't really get attached to anyone, but I respect some of them, except for we got what little we got with Maggie and Sasha was pretty good. A lot of it was during the whole drought episode. I forget the name of the episode. That was a pretty good episode, especially focused on those two. And then Sasha kind of losing it later and not disgusted by all the people living it easy at the Alexandria was pretty cool plot line that ultimately had me worried, but thankfully nothing too bad came of it. Okay, Ross was actually a pretty awesome character. I forgot about him from Alexandria. Like I actually thought he was played by Topher Grace at first. He kind of looks like him, but he's not. But his whole thing and him bonding with Daryl was some pretty awesome stuff. I have to admit. And also, I almost got to mention Glenn, seeing him call out a lot of the Alexandria younger guys, the runners out on their bullshit was pretty cool too. And even seeing how he's tougher than them. And seeing Rick kind of almost become just like Shane, but at the same time still being awesome and like stepping up and people of Alexandria, including Deanna, finally realize how awesome he is and how he really should be the leader. That was a pretty cool. All right, now I'm running out of time. I really hope that Eugene steps up as a character more, especially now they need a new engineer over at Alexandria to help keep things running, and. I still think this is definitely one of the better season finales we've had in a while, but I still think they need to work on topping their season finales. Like a season finale as epic as the one in season 2, but yet still a lot more character deaths. But it was still cool seeing Rick take on those zombies and crush that zombie's head. That was awesome. But yeah, this is a really good season. I'm still waiting for this. I still want the next season to really top season finale. I'm still waiting for that. But other than that, it's been a pretty solid season. Let me know in the comments what you think.